Afternoon to all of you. And in the fourth and the last panel discussion session of today, I, Professor P.K. Naik, Pro Vice Chancellor, Dr. C.V. Raman University, welcomes you all the panelists of the last session. And in the panelist, we have Gaurav Shukla, Registrar, Dr. C.V. Raman University, Bilaspur. We have Supriya AP, Principal, Delhi Public School, Dhamtari, and we have Dr. Mansi Agarwal, Founder, Director, Scottish Early Years, Delhi, and we have BN Kumar, Chairperson, Gandhip Vidya Mandir, Raipur, and from Elites Group, we have Abhishek to coordinate us. Dear friends, Abhishek has already told to you that the discussion point of today, discussion topic of the today. But before discussion, let's highlight some glimpse of the national education policy on school education, especially with reference to school education. Now, friends, you everybody knows that now there is a drastic change in the structure, in the curriculum, and in the on the teachers' appointment also, and more facilities are available for the students in new education policy. Maybe it school level or maybe it higher education level. That's everybody you knows. Here, I want to share some major changes which occurs in the school levels. So how it is feasible, how we execute, or how our students and our teachers, our administrators, and the authorities, they cope up with the situation and carry forward the works in progress. Among them, the when you talk about the structural changes, now national education policy talk about the 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 structure instead of the 10 plus 2 structure previously, which was introduced. Beside this, the another major changes what I observe is that now national education policy is talking about the holistic, integrated, enjoyable, and engaging curriculum. Now, he included the four important words when in the curriculum. It should be holistic, integrated, enjoyable, and engaging curriculum. Another changes which I found, the major changes, which in your since long time we are acquainting with the process, we are acquainting with the system. That was instead of the selection or the choice of the stream like arts, commerce, science, now there is a free choice, flexibility in the choice of the course in 11th and the 12th category in standard, 11th and the 12th standard. There is a flexibility in choice, which is totally the new things in the school level also. So what about how we can select our futures, in which area we move, what should be the that is the major core area of our education. A lot of question is there also. So some good points are there and some discussing points are there. So to say, if you can see or if you can look after the enter policy, if you gone through the enter policy so far as the school level is concerned, now we found change in every aspect. We found change in every aspect, and one most important thing is that the new educational policy given much more emphasis, and we can say in one sentence, it is student centric. We can say it is student centric. So before going to the depth in detailed discussion on the topics, today's topic, school to higher education, learner transition, building progressive and innovative future of the students. We want to know the opening remarks of our panelist. So in this series, first of all, I would like to learn the opening remarks from the Gaurav Shukla. Yes, please. So hand it over to Gaurav Shukla, please.
Thank you, Professor Nayak sir, and good afternoon to all the panelists and the attendees of today's School Education Summit. Yes, it's very important that school to higher education learn and transition, building progressive and innovative future of students. As we all know that the society relies on the education of the people to take itself forward. And it is very important that for the development of the society, that education's development is very important for the society. Now, the education systems are facing diverse challenges right now worldwide. Right now is a pandemic is one of the biggest challenge we are facing, though I think it's only for the time being. Maybe in the next 4 or 5 months, it may the vaccine will come up and will fight this pandemic to us. But still, from the beginning of this education system, knowledge, skill, learning, schooling has been redefined in the time to time, and it has a great actually challenges for the educator to redefine the education system for the smooth transition from school to higher education. If we go to the ancient world, we see that there is in India there's a Gurukul Parampara, and once the child born, and then the family members are their initial teachers, and where they learn traditional knowledge and the etiquettes of the society From there, they go to the school, and in the school they learn the fundamental things, and so on from the middle school to the high school and higher secondary school, the expertise they choose, and in higher education they go for the expertise on to their subject. This whole thing is being done for the one reason, I believe, and it is to earn something and to run their life. This whole phenomena is done. Though it is important that to learn the subject, and take the knowledge, but the initial thing is to stand yourself in the society and make your name and earn and run your family. So that's how the things has gone. So it is very important linkages between the primary school to middle school to high school, and high school to higher secondary, and higher secondary to the higher education. It is very important. The transition is very important. It should be a smooth transition, and it should be what higher education and what is present scenario wants. It should be linked to that. What technologies we are using, and it has been changed time to time. The courses has been changed, syllabus has been changed, the systems has been changed. So I believe it's very important, and it's very important that the transition should be smoother and as per the demand of the current scenario. It should happen.
So thank you, Gaurav Shukla. And now I want to switch over the Supriya AP. What's your remark regarding the new education policy with special reference to the school education? Are you hearing me? Supriya, are you hearing me? Hello?
Hey, ma'am, you have to put on your mic.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, you are audible.
I'm audible.
Supriya?
I'm audible?
Yeah.
There is
but echo is there. Echo is there. Hello?
Echoing is there.
Supriya ma'am, you are audible, but make the system to be stable so that your voice will not be echoed.
Give me 2 minutes, sir.
Sure.
Okay. Then it is better. We can utilize the time, and we can switch over to Manshi Agarwal. So we want to know your opinions, your opening remarks regarding the new education policy. Yes, switch over to Manshi, madam.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Mr. Nayak. I think it's a step towards the future. I think it's very futuristic thinking. And as much as thankfully, I've had the opportunity, I'm much younger to all the esteemed speakers here, and I've had the opportunity to be educated in our country also and abroad also. And even within abroad, I've had my education in the US also and in Australia also. So when I compare the education systems, I think the new education policy is certainly a step towards futuristic education because that I think that advancement is very, very much necessary, especially with the kind of experiential learning they plan to bring in with the NEP. The Anganwadi programs will become mandatory. So early education will be focused, early childhood education. We all know how important it is in the formative years of any student, any individual. So right now, a lot of, I think majority of the country where they are struggling for basic education, basic school education, they're not able to focus on early childhood. They don't even, a lot of people don't even think about the concept of education before the age of 4 years, or even sometimes 3 years, or before the age of 5 years. If you look at the masses, if you look at the majority of the citizens of the country who actually go to the public schools, who go to the government schools, they don't think about education before the age of 5. And the Anganwadi program, especially that they plan to make mandatory, I think that will have a significant, that will be the stepping stone of the thought process and I think broadening and widening the horizon of thinking for every individual. And going forward from there, I think the option of bringing vocational subjects and not being limited to selecting a stream. I feel blessed that I have a diverse education because I wanted to choose multiple subjects. That was one of the reasons why I became, I went to a different country to be educated because there was no option for me to study here psychology and marketing and entrepreneurship in the same degree per se. So I think the options open where individuals, especially in this fast moving world, have a variety of, I think, paths to choose from. So I really think that the new education policy is a step ahead, and it's going to take a lot to implement it. And I mean, there is no doubt about that. They hopefully expect to implement it in the next 15 years. So even if that can be achieved, it will be a huge step. It will be a huge leap for the country. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Mansi madam. I thought that's why the new education policy given much more emphasis upon the divergent thinking. The most important part is the divergent, the emphasis upon the divergent thinking instead of the convergent thinking. Because what you want to say that is only possible when we have a diversified in that is knowledge and diversified curriculum. So thank you. So are you ready, Supriya madam? Are you ready? Can we switch over to Supriya madam? Hello? Am I audible?
Am
Supriya
I
madam?
audible now? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. You
Very
can.
good evening, sir. Nayak
So-
sir, Shukla sir, Mansi madam, very good evening. And it's really a privilege to be associated with you all and having this discussion. It's really an honor for me. And see, we have spoken, we have heard, we have discussed lots and lots of things regarding this new education policy. And everybody, most of the people in India, they were waiting for this one. So when it came out, the final draft came out, we all became so happy because I remember before starting anything, I want to share with you a story which I read long back. It was like, it was the story of a 6-year-old. He was settled abroad, and the parents, unfortunately or fortunately, they wanted to shift to India. He had his preschooling there, and they, after a lot of research, after survey and all, they selected a very good public school for their child. And then he was so excited to start his schooling over there. The first day after the formal introduction and all, the teacher said, let us draw a house. Okay, so the very next moment the child started taking out a maybe his drawing book or pencil or whatever. He tried to do that. So he heard a voice, stop. So he was alarmed. What is happening? So then he waited for the instruction. The teacher instructed, wait for my instructions. This was the statement given by the teacher. Then he then he understood something. This is not the kind of education what I got. This is not the kind of school where I was studying. And then he came to this. He understood that's something I have to follow the instruction of the teacher. Then she said, take out your book, take out your pencil, then let us draw this one, a square, then over that a triangle. So the instructions kept on, the boy started receiving the instruction. And then what happened, he was also, I think we also must have, maybe suppose if I ask anyone, maybe a student, if I ask to draw a house, this must be the kind of house they will be drawing. This is what the programming what we have got, isn't it? So this here when the this kind of instruction, teacher-centered education system was prevailing, definitely whatever we wanted to what kind of evolution the child should have got, what kind of preparation the child should have got for facing the future, he must not have got, because it was all revolving around a particular person. And whereas teaching is also a profession by chance to most of the people in the country. So these all things which were alarming are addressed in the new education policy, and it's a very welcoming step for the future of India. And the other day I was reading one article where I learned that India's higher education system is the world's third largest in terms of students. But are we keeping that standard when we are talking that it is the third largest? Are we having that standard? It is a big question mark. So these all things, we being the educationists, so many things are in our hands. The other day in another webinar, there was a question, somebody raised this question that is it possible to implement these things in that same spirit or same wavelength what was proposed by what was there in this policy? Is it possible or not? So this question was raised because they were thinking about this CCE, what was there few years back, where more of teacher was converted into be a facilitator, and more of student-centered learning started happening, but unfortunately it was stopped. So these educators had this feeling whether that same plight is going to happen here also. So that time, after this question, there was the answer was, if suppose so many principals were attending this that webinar, they said if suppose 1,000 of these principals start thinking, and the proper implementation of this is happening from their end, definitely that we can change that 1,000 schools. That 1,000 school is representing a very big part of the society. So this is I am very happy that we can also become a part of this revolution, and hope so these kind of discussions and interactions will definitely help us to understand this new education policy in a better way, and then we'll be able to do something better to our society.
Okay. Thank you, Supriya ma'am. That's why national education policies, that's why giving emphasis upon the child-centric. It is yes, child-centric. It works upon the child, and the teachers only become the facilitator. not
Exactly.
instructor. Teacher is not acting like as a instructor. He should, or he or she should act like a facilitator. So that changes definitely we found in new education policy, and also we hope so. But the thing is that now actually till date we all are, the parents, the teacher, the administrator, the students, all are acquainting with the previous system of education. So definitely in the initial stages we have some problems, but I thought that should be gradually demolished, that problems, and you can adopt a very good policy which can helpful, or which can helpful in the economic and the social growth and the cultural growth of our country, what I hope. Abhishek, can we talk to the BN Kumar? Can he join? Abhishek? Abhishek? He's not seen in the screen.
Yes, sir. He's
BN
joining
Kumar?
in 2 minutes. Actually, he joined as just promoting him, sir. 1 second.
Okay. Definitely we all there are a lot of discussion regarding the new education policy now about the structure. What is the structure? Where now, how they can, there is no stream. There is no stream. Now we are still date we are acquainting with the stream which we are going. If you want to study the medical, now you are supposed to opt the bio. If you are going to engineering side, you are supposed to take the mathematics. Now there is a flexibility. So definitely in the initially now it becomes the very awkward step or the awkward position for the students and the parents, and the now this something big change will occur at school and the higher education level. That is the preparation of timetable, because the timetable should be prepared in a flexible manner. Now in the previous there was a fixed timetable. Now if you have to attend, so something will be, definitely we have to face the problems, but we should keep ourselves ready to face the challenges, so that we can accept, so that we can in a proper Madam Mansi has said smooth administration, and Gaurav sir has also told the very smooth transition. So how smooth transition will be possible? Now, if we can support, if we can cooperate, if we can make them understand to our students, the parents, then properly communicate with the administrator, then we can smoothly run the new policies. What I hope. So, hello. So can you proceed? Hello? Hello?
Yes, you're audible.
Yes.
So can you proceed?
Yes, sir. You are audible, sir. You can proceed.
Okay. Yeah, we are waiting BN Kumar, or whenever he comes, then we can welcome him and join with our discussion.
Axel, let's continue our discussion. Once the sir will
Okay,
join,
okay.
will involve him in our discussion.
Okay.
So I think we should not
So
waste time.
okay. So the thing is that there are a lot of queries, there are a lot of questions whenever we talk about the national education policy, because earlierly I have told that now we can find changes in everywhere. So far as the structure is concerned, curriculum is concerned, methods of teaching is concerned, appointment of teacher is concerned, and the student is also concerned, and so far as the assessment process is also concerned. Everywhere you found the changes. And now the education policy now talking about the innovation, So my question is that in this panel, what innovation in education is so important in the current scenario? Madam Mansi, this is the question for you. First I put that questions to you. What innovation in education is so important in the present scenario? what you want to look and what innovation you want to introduce in the school levels?
I think it might sound very cliched, but digital innovation, which was already on its way, as we all know, in universities and schools and colleges everywhere, slowly, gradually, we were shifting towards a digital platform. But it has been accelerated during the coronavirus pandemic. From the past, if you look at the past 5 years, past 10 years, a lot has changed. And that has thankfully contributed, that innovation contributed in a big way when the pandemic hit. Because at least the education did not come to a full stop. It did not come to a halt. We were able to continue that. So I think that the digital innovation for delivering the actual aim of the new education policy is very important.
Okay.
The other part, I don't know whether I'll call it innovation or not, but I think the first and foremost thing that will be required from the entire 130 crore citizens of the country will be a change in mindset. So an openness, so that if the government, if the education system is offering multiple fields, then the students are actually able to avail it. So if they're, deciding to offer, for example, music as a subject, but if parents don't become open-minded, that if my child is actually good in music, let them pursue it, then there is no point of that offering also. So the first and foremost thing that is required is open-mindedness, I think. Secondly, I think we have to come up with a more innovative way of teacher training, because there is already, with the current education system, a lack of trained teachers, competent teachers. So I think we have to look at research and development in the field of teacher training, how we can innovatively deliver that and ensure that for all the subjects and all the fields that we plan to offer to students in the future, there are competent teachers. So, and then of course, I think these will be the first few stepping stones of moving towards innovation. So these are, I think, the most important things that we need to focus on. Delivery method of the education, teacher training. So who will deliver, instructors, facilitators, whatever we call them. Eventually, they will be the ones guiding in a classroom, guiding the students in a classroom or creating a path. And we all know how important there is a requirement of good teachers, what kind of impact our teachers have had on us. So it's very important that the teachers in the classroom are also open-minded. So mental training, I think, psychological training, and then of course the subject training. So academic training of what is going to happen, what has to be taught, the way it has to be taught. Ms. Supriya gave a very good example, and the story of how somebody came from another country and the child was realized that it's not all about openness of mind. I have to follow instructions. So even the teachers who are being brought up in this generation, they have to understand that I have to let the child do wherever their mind takes them. It is not just about implementing what I feel is right. So innovation in terms of delivery, I think of the subject has to be there. I think that's most important. Unless we have the right way of delivering what we want to teach, we cannot expect the students to learn. Yeah.
Definitely. That's why I thought, now there is also in the year 2015, now the NCT has changed the structure of teachers training from 1 year to 2 years with an intention that to improve the quality in teachers training. But again, that has been redecided, restructuring in the national policy in education and giving emphasis upon the 4-year integrated B.Ed. So if somebody want to become a teacher, then he make his mind ready from the very beginning. So I think that can fulfill you the demands, and by doing this, and to 2030 till all the teachers should be from the 4-year integrated courses, and they have already set their mind, and they can deliver that is lectures in very smooth way. The problem is that, madam, what I found that now the teachers, those who are having the training, now they are unable to connect the teachers, students, and the subject, the content matter. Now there is no coordinations between the three things, and whenever the coordinations will occur in the classroom, maybe it may be in the physical or it may be in online mode, and whenever it is connected, then we can achieve our goals. So I
Yes,
think so there
I
is a
agree with
part
you.
in the new education policy. So we can discuss about that. Now the question is that everybody or every educationist, now they are saying that now the gross enrollment ratio of the higher education is 15%, 10%, 16%. But gradually, if you can see, now it is 26%,
26%.
26 point, yeah, 26% now in the year 2018. But it is very minimum, not so good standard, not so good. But the intention of the government is that now it should be increased, and decided that through new education policy, now the government hope that now it we can increase from 26% to the 50%. So how it is possible? Now the question to the Gaurav Shukla sir, what you want to say, that how what steps should be taken, that or what we want to do in your institution, that you can increase the gross enrollment ratio from towards the 50%.
I think this is the best part of new education policy, is that to increase the gross enrollment ratio of the country. I think this is the best part. Right now, as you have said already, it's only a 26%. And if I talk about the Chhattisgarh perspective, I take the Chhattisgarh into the perspective, it's only 18% in the higher education gross enrollment ratio is, whereas in the school education system, it is a 97%. I'm giving some of the data. I would like to give the data that in Chhattisgarh, I will take the example of the Chhattisgarh, why the gross enrollment ratio is very low. Total school in Chhattisgarh is around 48,000. That is total school. In that 48,000, if I talk, number of the primary school is 30,000. Middle school we have 13,000, and around 2,000 we have high school, and higher secondary we have 2,000. So see that the primary school is more. That means after the primary school, there is again dropout in the middle school, and after the middle school there is a dropout in the high school, and there is again dropout in the higher secondary, and a huge dropout in higher education system. Total student in a school system in Chhattisgarh is around 39 lakhs, and if I talk about the higher education, it hardly 5 to 6 lakhs. So there is a huge dropout from school to higher education system. And in the state like Chhattisgarh, where it's actually basically a tribal state, where the category, if I see, the SC has 14% and ST has 28%, OBC 48%, the population is going into the school. So if you see all this thing, you need to reach out there. And that's what Dr. C.V. Raman University has understood in 2006, way back in 2006. And we have opened our organization has opened this university in the tribal belt in 2006. Since then, we have stopped people going from metro cities and the other state. Students are getting the better education in Dr. C.V. Raman University in the tribal belt. It's a very remote place. In 2006, we are providing them the high quality labs. We have huge library, more than 75,000 books we have. We have our own radio stations where the cultural activity is being done. The local society people, they come and they record they know they are based in it, whether it's a folk song or towards their culture. We have very good placement facility also. These all the things are very important to increase the gross enrollment ratio. I'll come to the first question again. What innovation in education is important in current situation? Yes, technology is very important. I'll relate to this to gross enrollment ratio. Technology is very important. Teacher training is also very important, but I think there is another thing which is very important to understand what quality and what reason we are in, and what the speciality of that particular region is. If I talk about this Jahangir and Chapa, they have the silk and kosa and all this thing. So we should have the institute like that in that area that they enhance their quality, their skill. If I talk about the Bastar, they have a very good Bastar art, but if we will not preserve them, if we will not enhance their quality, it will vanish. And after few years, we will thought of कि yes, ये होता था वहाँ पर, अब नहीं हो रहा. So that's the thing is important. कि what local area is required, and that's what we are thinking about. This new education policy will bring in the country. They have taken the target till 2030. There will be a university in every single district. This will make education easier. In Chhattisgarh, people are very hesitant to go outside the other state. So it is very important कि अगर स्टूडेंट नहीं पहुंच रहा है तो वहां पर इंस्टीट्यूट पहुंच जाए स्टूडेंट के पास और उसको हायर एजुकेशन वो दे. तो ये जरूरी है. इट इज वेरी इम्पोर्टेंट. that's the best part of it. The standalone institution will convert into the multi-speciality institution. This will also bring they will give the more option to the student to join in the higher education. Apart from that, it is very important to provide the employability. Right now, what is happening, if you are into the conventional study, if you do the BA, BSc or something, you suddenly find out that there is no job. There's no job. That's why the skill part is coming into the new education policy. We have Pradhan Mantri Kausal Kendra in Dr. C.V. Raman University, on which we give them the skill, we learn them the skill person, whether it is an electrician or the tractor operator or the data entry operator. These are the basic thing required in the society. So it is very important to understand the requirement of the region, and the institute has to reach to the student. So education policy is coming up with this, all the things that the student will learn vocational courses from the class 6. They will be learning coding from the class 6. So I think this the challenges is very high, how this is going to be implemented. But I think the result will be definitely will be much pleasant, and I hope that by the 2035 will have more than 50% gross enrollment ratio in higher education.
Okay, thank you. That's why the new education policy talks about the skill learning, and saying that the skill should be the integrated part of the curriculum. The skills should be the integrated. Now the intention was not to get the degree, but to all the degrees holder must have some skill to do something. That's why we can solve the employment problems. Now employment is there, definitely. Number of vacancies are there, but we are not getting the right persons to do that work, do that job. That's why there is a problem. What I think, so that this thing also highlighted in the new education policy, and also giving emphasis upon the vocational education. Vocational educations give emphasis. So now I think we have BN Kumar sir. Hello, are you listening to me, BN Kumar sir? I have seen on the screen since few. BN Kumar sir. Yeah. Sir, we want to know the opening.
Sir, Naren sir is there, but is not able to connect with voice.
Okay.
So I think, sir, you move.
So yeah.
Connect, he will respond.
Okay. We can proceed. So this is another most important part. So this is the path. By following that, we can increase the gross enrollment ratio, and we can achieve the target in 2035.
I would like to just add one thing.
Yeah, madam.
I think along with accessibility, as Mr. Shukla mentioned, that take the university to the student if the student cannot reach the university, and offering all the subjects. Another major thing that is required is awareness. So we are providing all of this, we do all of this, but then creating awareness that one, we are providing it, and where you can reach by enrolling yourself, by being academically qualified, by being skill-based, where you can reach. I think that creating that awareness, special awareness programs also need to be there, which are focused on creating awareness to increase enrollment. So that we can reach
definitely.
Every individual, every house, we can reach to the students who drop out. As you know, Mr. Shukla mentioned, the differential in the number from primary to senior secondary is huge, and it is only because the students drop out. So in ensuring that very early on we start making them aware of what can happen towards the positive if you continue to study and you don't drop out, you continue with your enrollment, and what will happen, what are the negatives of what happens when you drop out. There should be special awareness programs dedicated towards increasing enrollment, not just of course creating universities, offering vocational subjects, different streams. All of that is going to help, but specifically to increase enrollment there should be awareness programs.
Absolutely,
and I think
absolutely.
This should start from school level. When NEP says that it is the vocational training will start from 6th standard, it should be this counseling and awareness program should also be a part of this curriculum, where trained counselors should be there who will be explaining the children along with their parents, so that unnecessary, because when we think about the degrees, we have seen so many if triple post graduation is not a rare thing in Chhattisgarh. So many people have got these many degrees, then they get the degrees. Maybe this throughout the year working is not required. They will be getting this degree. They'll be able to appear for the examination towards the if they prepare towards the end of the session also. But they do not understand why they are getting this one. Even we have engineers with so many schools we can see engineers after getting this degree, they switch to teaching field. And when they are asking why they are doing this, after pursuing engineering, why they are here, they'll say very confidently that it is their passion. Then why did they go for engineering? So this kind of awareness is not there among the children. They do, maybe they are working after as per the instruction from the parents. So definitely, as madam said, in the society level, for the students, we should definitely start with the school. Along with that, and for the parents also, this kind of awareness programs must be definitely there.
One thing I would like to add on it. That's where the higher education institute's role is very important. They must connect to the school level, and they must do the counseling at the school level. What we have organized so many project competition in our school, and more than 100 schools have participated, and we have encouraged them to meet the science model and the startups. Even we have started this farmers training in our university, which connects to the society very well. Apart from that, we have organized the Pustak Yatra last year. As we all know that's the disadvantage of this digital thing or the technology, is that the people are nowadays away from the books, and we have this yatra has gone to the 11 districts, more than 100 schools, and we have found that actually student wants to learn, and actually we have met them to come to the library, and we have met them to read the books. So it is very important that the higher education institute counsel the there's a school education, and there must be hand-to-hand coordination between a school and the higher education institute.
So,
I think it is
so
also a very important thing.
definite. So bridge must be there. Bridge must be
Absolutely.
there, and strengthened bridge should be there between the school and the higher educations. If we can link with the school education with the higher education, definitely you can motivate the learner to switch over to the higher education, and simultaneously we can increase the gross enrollment ratio in the higher education. My next question is to Supriya ma'am. Do you think that uh, each job-oriented curriculum in school is need of the hour?
Yes, definitely. I feel this because we were simply thinking about information gathering, whereas this information is available at the tip of their fingers, no?
Yeah,
From Google and all, it's all available. When we talk about the practical aspect of it, suppose after engineering, we can say, uh, how many of our engineers are really having employability skills? There is a big difference between having the theoretical knowledge and employability skills. So whenever whenever these children confront the practical aspect of the real life situation, they are unable to solve anything. So this employability skills are to be focused upon. For this employability skills, this general degree is not sufficient. Why should they get a BSc degree? For what is the purpose of getting a BSc in chemistry? That they should understand, and then they should go for this one. So this in the NEP, it was said bagless days will be there for the children from 6th standard onwards. Like suppose carpenter or any kind of job oriented courses, they will be reaching to those people in their own places, and then these children will get some training from there. So after completing their 10th standard or the schooling, definitely they will be having some skills to earn the living too. So otherwise, acquiring degree, getting a certificate, these people are just roaming around with these certificates, saying that there will be a huge statistics. These are the degree holders in our country, or these many degree holders are there in our states. But are they employed? Are they able to get some employment, or are they directed properly towards which course they should get, so that they'll be getting a job? This job oriented courses, somewhere it is missing. Definitely there are these professional courses, many places these professional courses are making these children able to making them become successful in life too. But we have to consider these so-called poor performers in the school. We used to say,
so
no, like those who they
okay,
are top
definitely.
rankers, and
Okay,
their victory is so much celebrated. But
okay,
what about these students, those who are so-called, I should not say poor performers, but so-called poor performers, what they should do?
okay,
So
okay.
for
So
that, this
regarding
curriculum should
this,
take care of.
okay, definitely. So Mansi madam, what you want to add on regarding this? Mansi madam, are you listening to me? Please unmute. Please unmute
Yeah,
your.
I'm not able to
Are you
hear
listening to
you.
me? What you want to add
I'm not
on
able to hear
the
you.
discuss? What you want to add on
Okay.
in the comment of Supriya?
I think I definitely I agree with what she's saying, that it is very, very important to
Hello.
I think, sir, he lost the connection.
Okay, okay, okay. So can I pass now the subsequent question is that next to the Gaurav Shukla sir. Hello. Now
Yes.
please unmute. Please unmute. So now thing is that now the need of the industry is changing day by day. If you can tie up with the industry collaboration, higher education, the industry collaboration, and then demand is frequently changes from the time to time. So in this situation, how can we prepare the students for the future job? So what do you want to say regarding this?
The world is changing, and it's changing every day. The technology is changing, and living standards are changing. Everything is changing. Technology is basically all the things depends upon the industry. So education system must be in line with the industry. What industry wants from the education sector. It should not be like that. We are teaching at the conventional courses to the student. Actually, it should be like that. What actually industry want, what kind of a requirement we have in the all kinds of sectors, and it should be the courses should be aligned with the requirement. Then only the student future will be the safe, and they will get the job. Otherwise, unskilled student will never going to get the job. They will remain unemployed. So it is very important the education system must follow what is actually corporate system needs, and what are the industry's requirement are, and we have to be updated in every year, that the systems are changing, and it is changing very fast. Now we are into the 5G in India, whereas the world has gone to the 7G, 8G. So we can think that everything is changing. So we have to be updated. Our course curriculum should be updated. Our faculty is to be updated, and the system is to be like that. It should be more towards the practical basis rather than the bookish
Theoretical basis.
Theoretical basis, absolutely. The student must get the practical exposure from the industry as well, so that they can be ready, industry ready, actually, I should say.
It means one thing comes from this discussion, that now the higher education should redesign the courses as per the changing demand of the industry. It should not be stereotyped, or we should not follow a fixed that is courses that we have to implement, or we have to run these courses. Now, from time to time, as per the demands of the industry, it should be redesigned. It should be incorporated the new things demanded by the university, definitely. So I thought that's why now from the very beginning, now the national education policy talk about the internship from the class 6 level, class 6 level, and they should be acquainting, because whenever it is directly or indirectly related with the job, that is job respect among the students. Now the parents, if you can, if there is 100 students, and if you can ask the questions, then maximum questions, the answer should be that I become the doctor, I become the engineer, I become the some administrative. They all are wanted that wishes to do the white collar jobs. And I think the national policy on education and the introduction of the internship programs, they can develop, they can aware them to respect the dignity of the laborers and the workers, so to say. And that is the things. So the next thing comes from this discussion is that now there is everywhere there is a changes. In every aspect there is a changes. Again, I am repeating you. Everywhere there is a changes. So in this situation, and I can pass these questions to all the three panelists, that what should be the role of a teacher? What should be the role of a teachers in building the progressive future of the students, so far as the new education policy is concerned? Yes, Mansi madam, you want to say?
Yeah. I think the teacher plays a very major role. I'm really hoping that with the new integrated B.Ed, every teacher will be qualified to be a counselor. Because if there is somebody whom both the student and the parent actually trusts, it is not some outside counselor who comes once a year or maybe once in 5 years. Like right now, the counseling happens in grade 9 and grade 10 to choose what stream a child should take in 11th. So I don't think that that counselor says has as much weight as compared to what the teacher says. So number one, the teacher plays a very major role. I think every teacher should be in one way or the other a counselor. I think parents need to be guided on very early on and at a very early stage as to what are the possible options. There should be special sessions in the school. There should be free psychometric tests and regular, because as we know that nature versus nurture, as we are nurtured, we grow up, our skill set changes, our interests change. So there should be regular psychometric tests at different levels. And parents should feel that there is an incentive in doing what they're going to do. It should not be that there is no incentive in taking other subjects also. So of course, going back to creating awareness of what future options they, children have. Also, I think, as you mentioned, internships are an excellent step, that too very early on, for children to understand what should be done and what should not be done. So we see so many engineers going eventually and doing an MBA. We see so many students doing, medical, and then eventually doing an MBA, and they waste so much of their time and effort, because it takes a lot to complete medical to get admissions in an engineering college. They waste so much of their effort in going through that process. So I think internships are going to largely help them in experiencing what interests a student. I think and integrating subjects also, I think it's a very new thing. Between the integration of the subjects and internships, it will give a very good exposure to every student about what they should do, what interests them, what they can be successful in, what skill they should follow. So these are, I think, a few things that, of course, as we're discussing, they're excellent about the new education policy, but need good focus on. Then, of course, if children need to do internships from 6th grade onwards, then the availability of the correct internships for all the students. Also, because creating those kind of internships is also not easy, which are in a safe and secure environment, which are not just, a photocopying job. It is an actual experience into what it will lead to for a child if they pursue that field. So I think the government is doing a great job. They're creating opportunities. But as schools, as universities, as colleges, it is our responsibility also at an individual level to focus on each of these aspects and deliver the best we can. So yeah, that's it.
Okay. Supriya madam, what you want
I
to
wish
add?
to add. Of course,
Okay.
teachers are one of the most important pillar of this education system. But when the teachers become teachers by chance, these all things are not at all fulfilled. The teacher should be teacher by choice. If the teacher is teacher by choice, then I think all these, whatever holistic development has to happen in the students, it will be safe in the hands of the teachers. So teacher training is going to play a major role. Unfortunately, in Chhattisgarh, what we are seeing is teachers are having BA degree, but how many of them really worked? How many of them really attended the classes? How many of them took, maybe they have gathered information regarding the theoretical aspects of this teaching that they might have gathered from some books, or the keys what they get just before going to appear for the examination. But if they really want to become a teacher, they should start after their schooling, the college, from the beginning itself. They should understand, like madam said, that the counseling must be a part of this one. So that so definitely they are going to do if they are getting a proper degree with if universities ensure that students get degree after they attend the course regularly. Now here all these things are possible. I don't know, I have grievance in this aspect, like universities are allowing private candidates, no, they are not attending the college, attending the classes, and they are able to get the degree after appearing for an examination. So it is again the theory part what they are getting, not the practical aspect of it. And in the new education policy, lot of emphasis is laid on this experiential learning. it is going, and some integrated approach towards this subjects. So these all things, if the teacher is able to incorporate in their teaching method, earlier teaching was to explain the things and then make the children mug up and then make the children ready for examination, what they are, what questions are set by the teachers. This curiosity is never developed in the children, because that though we try to extinguish. If the student asks some question, we used to say, just keep quiet, listen to me, listen to my explanation, do not attempt any question unless I say. These kind of approach used to be there in the school, whereas we have to have a student centered curriculum where teachers will be the facilitators, where the teachers will guide the children wherever they are. There should not be anything right or wrong, everything open it should be, and the children should be guided properly. If they one suppose everything student has to understand, everything the student must get after learning by doing, that is also not possible. There are learned people like teachers who will be able to guide, give something to the children, and the teacher should be efficient enough to do this one. So they should this experiential learning, integrated curriculum. So there is multifaceted approach to this one, and this art inclusion in the education. So this is all focusing on students' individuality. How, suppose student want to understand this particular concept, when art is included in that, the student is able to do it, means we have to go for it. If some experientially after doing some experiments, if the children are able to get it, the children should have freedom to do it.
Definitely,
And
definitely.
if so these all things, if it is incorporated in our teaching methods by the teachers, it will be like it will be our dream is going to come true. But for that, the implementation of these the policies in new education, this one, it should be done in a very effective way. And because the new education policy draft, it has shown us a dream. It has taken us to a very different level. Those who are thinking about the future of India, thinking about the children, it has definitely taken us to a very different level. Now we are all looking for what is going to happen at the practical aspect,
Definitely.
that ground
So,
level, what is going to happen.
okay, definitely. So, Gaurav sir, do you want to say something regarding this?
Yes, the teachers are always important. From the ancient India to Dronacharya se lekar ke aaj tak, teachers will always remain in a very important person for building progressive future of a student. And there is only one thing that the teacher must be upgraded, and that's the institution's responsibility to give all kinds of training to their teacher and make them updated as per the demand or as per the present scenario. That's the only thing is required. Then only will train and we can shape the students' future, and it's very important. So, but teachers will remain always a very important in any time.
So, being a teacher, definitely I want to add one thing. Yeah. If you see the back and if you see the present and vision the futures, till date, number of changes has been occurs. Now, digitalization has been incorporated in the field of education. Digitalized world is there, but what I feel that nobody can take the place of a teacher. Teacher is always teacher. Definitely, he can smoothen the process, sharpen the process by adopting or by using technology in the field of education. Anyway, that's why in new education policy, now integrated B.Ed should be incorporated and give it much more emphasis upon the integrated B.Ed. And in future, all the stand-alone training college should be closed down in future, and on that places they are supposed to run the multidisciplinary subjects, and they are emphasis upon the integrated B.Ed. Another thing is that now till date the all the teachers now they are acquainting with the traditional method of teaching. Traditional, just they prepare the lessons, they enter to the classrooms and taught the students. And if you can observe the number of classes, now the students act like a passive learner, passive listeners. So another important things in the national education policy is that giving emphasis on the experiential learnings, experiential learning. So the teacher has to update it. The teacher has to change the methodology to taught the subject, and also less importance upon the theoretical content part, conceptual part, instead of the practical aspects. So whatever he learn, the student must able to apply these things, strengthening the application part, so that I can use in the societies, I can use everywhere what I learn. Now the problem is that till the so far as the present education system which concerns, now we are running behind the degrees. That's why there is a problem in the employability. Now that can be solved in the new education policy, what I thought. And beside this, the new education policy, though definitely it giving much more emphasis upon the holistic education, holistic method of teaching, integrated methods of teaching. So all these things, now the teacher has to play the most important role. The teacher himself or herself has to update it and acquainting with the new policies. So far, the principles of all the educational institution and the principles of the higher education institution, they should discuss among them, among their teachers, to create the awareness among their students. Now, one point I found from the national education policy, that he talks about the 360-degree multi-dimensional assessment. The national education policy giving emphasis upon the 360-degree multi-dimensional assessment. So, what do you want to say, Madam Supriya, about the 360-degree multi-dimensional assessment? So far as that 11th, particularly 11th and the 12th each concerned.
Sir, again, this takes me to another story that everybody must be aware of it. Like so many animals are standing and they have exams. Zebra is there, elephant is there, monkey is there, even a fish is there.
Definitely.
So when he was, the question to this exam was declared, and the question was, they have to show their skills on climbing the tree. Who is going to win? Definitely the
Definitely
monkey.
the monkey.
And others will be considered as fail, isn't it? So this is the problem with this used to be the problem with our education system, where children are not assessed on their performance, their individuality. Somewhere we forget. We always focus on fetching marks, and we celebrate the victory of those children, those who are getting 100 out of 100 or 90 out of 100, and we forget about the capabilities and talents. What is there in the children, those who are maybe they have scored 30% marks, but he is a very good singer. Nowhere it is mentioned. He is very good at drawing, which can become the means of earning for him. That also we forget, but we just focus on this mark. So suppose here the teacher again will play a very major role. Teacher should have a overall the observation of the teacher is going to play an important role. They have to give so for that, if proper rubrics are there, the parameters are there, then definitely we will be able to grade the children on all the aspects, on whatever abilities the child is having. So once the child is going to pass out from one class to the other, once he's going to be promoted from one class to the other, then along with him, he will be carrying a book of his capability, whatever is his talent, whatever he is able to do. So this individuality is taken care of, and then that will be given to the next teacher, where these all aspects can again be catered to, again be nourished, and then he will be empowered with proper whatever is required. So this 360-degree evaluation of an assessment of a child is very, very important. Many times it is happening.
Definitely. So what you want to say, Mansi madam, regarding this assessment process?
I agree with Ms. Supriya, and I appreciate the NEP for bringing this change, because there are so many students in the time that I have also counseled, so many adolescent students that I know, especially as you're discussing the senior secondary, who are super intelligent. They are very high on intellect, but they are horrible standardized exam takers. They just don't do well on the standardized exams. So the fact that the new report card is going to reflect in great detail the progress and the uniqueness of each learner in the cognitive, affective, and the psychomotor domains, I think that is really going to help us better understand the child and analyze also, because like Ms. Supriya said, right now we form judgments based on the fact that what did the child score out of 100, and
Definitely.
that is not what somebody is all about. As you had also mentioned in the beginning of this session, that what is happening in big companies like Google, where they're hiring students which are not even graduated from school based on skill level, that they're able to do because they have their own tests, they have their own entrances, they have their own ways of analyzing what the understanding level and the intellect of an individual is. So I think this new system of reporting, I'm sure all of us have seen what the report cards are going to now look like starting from 2022-2023 session. They're going to look very different, the scholastic areas, post-scholastic areas. So if you look at one sample, report card of what they're recommending, it's very comprehensive to understand the student, and it definitely analyzes all aspects of intelligence, not just academic. So
Definitely.
I'm all in for it.
Okay. So my question is that now, though Gaurav sir is in the higher education, so whenever the student switched over from the school level to the higher education for getting admission, now we found that maximum students, they secure 10 to 10 CGPA. Maximum, the number is more. They are getting 10 to 10 CGPA. So what is the necessity if the present assessment system, in the present assessment system, now the students getting 10 to 10 CGPA, it means we are achieving our goals, we are achieving our academic achievement. Then why we are talking about the 360-degree of assessment is better than the present system of assessment? Regarding this, Gaurav sir, what do you want to say?
I think it's a very very good thing that the NEP is bringing the 360-degree about the 360-degree holistic report card. The actually school or the organization, this education is has to, it's not only limited to the teaching or the bookish thing. It has also a very I think important role to enhance their quality on whatever the skill that a particular student is having, and they are good in it. So I think that is why sometimes you see that the people get the 100 out of the 100 mark, but they don't possess any kind of a skill, and they lose out in a competition exam, and they are no longer competing in the bigger events or in the bigger examinations. So it's very important to identify each one's the skill and their interest part. So this NEP will bring to that. I believe people, if somebody is very good, good in sports, so they must recognize as a sports person. If somebody is very good in the culture, they must recognize as in the culture department. If somebody is very good in the research, they must choose. They must be examined in the research as well. So I think. It is very important. Everybody has a different skill. Everybody possesses a different skill. Everybody has a different nature. So I believe this 360-degree part will take most up from the students. This is the old this examination pattern is also one of the reason of dropout. Actually, people fear from their final examinations, and most of the people they left in between at the time of the school. So I think this will remove the fear, and people will be more joyful. If you get maximum out of any person when he enjoys those things. So this is I think it's a wonderful thing that the NEP is bringing out to the student.
Definitely. Actually, that was the one of the concept of curriculum, that we should enjoy the curriculum. The curriculum should not give the burden to the students. What we feel nowadays, now it should be enjoyable, so that our creative abilities, so that our critical thinking ability, reasoning ability will be developed. What I thought that nowadays the students are studying with a certain pressure, and that should be abolished in the new education policy. And the root memory assessment should be discarded in the new education policy. That's why we are in need of the 360-degree of multidimensional assessment, because from the very beginning, when the child entered in the schools, we can start assessment. The teacher start assessment, and we actually, this is the right thing, that we can't assess the student within 3 hours, because we taught the students in 365 days. We are dealing with the student with 365 days, but we assess only in 3 hours. So that is not justifiable. So I thought that the 360-degree multidimensional assessment is very good, and it gives a very good and a wonderful result for the students. So I think we have already discussed the number of points, and very good things are. Yeah. Do you want to say something, Mansi madam?
Yes,
Yeah?
I just want to add that I really hope that the integrated B.Ed also focuses on some kind of mandatory 1 year long or 8 month long internship for teachers, the way doctors have residency. Similarly, so that you can't teach experiential learning unless you have experience yourself.
No, definitely. By 2030, integrated B.Ed, the appointment should be based on the integrated B.Ed. Now it has been on the new education policy. So we hope that now because now this is the policy. The implementation part is not clear yet. Now that has been the regulations is going to be prepared, and when the regulations are come forward, then definitely we can clear the each and every stage to conduct the 4-year integrated B.Ed programs, and also giving emphasis upon the quality in not quantity but quality in the educations. So what I want to say here, that very good things are come forward from this discussion, and definitely it is much more useful for the students also, for the teachers also, for the parents also, and for all the administrator also. And this new education, we all are hoping that the new education policy is it bring the bright future for our students also. So I thought this is a welcoming steps. Welcoming steps, And I once again, I thanks all the participants. They have deeply involved in the discussions and sharing their views and their
Sir, I
consent.
think there is a question
Yeah,
in the
yeah, yeah.
chat box. I could see a question regarding 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4.
Yes.
There is a confusion in that, I think so, to that actually 5 plus 3,
5 plus 3
starts
plus.
with nursery. So
Yeah,
3
yeah, yeah.
years of preschooling and 2 years, standard 1 and 2 is that 5, then 3 is 3rd, 4th and 5th, then 6th, 7th and 8th is the next 3, and
Yeah.
9, 10,
9,
11th,
11,
12th is
11, 12 is the 4.
so
That
10
is
plus 2 system that is going to remain with some changes. And
there is
the preschooling, early childhood education has been added to this one.
And not
okay.
just
There is
that, regular assessments. Not just that,
slight
regular
segregation.
assessments have been added at
Yeah,
grade 3, at 5 and 8. They will be added. So the regular assessment will be a huge part of that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That is a small segregation is there, and they add on the pre-primary, pre-nursery, nursery, LKG, and the UKG, class 1 and class 2. The 5 years content 5. So that is the
That
restructuring
is the
of the
purpose.
new education policy. So there is no confusing, but very good discussion is happening today, and very good things are coming out from our discussion, and it will help. So we should all take care to our students and also teachers, and motivate our teachers to follow updated themselves so far as the new education policy, so far as the methodology, so far as the assessment, and so far as helping their students to select the course, and they can play their role in a best way. That's I hope.
Thanks.
Thank
Thanks,
you all of
Professor
you.
Sir. Thank you, Professor
Thank
Sir.
you so
Very
much,
well
sir.
moderated
Thank
session.
you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Gaurav Shukla
Thank you,
Sir. Thank you,
Elax.
Dr. Mansi
Thank you.
Ma'am. Thank you,
Thank you.
Supriya
Thank you.
Ma'am. And I request all my participants, if you have any offline question, you can take it offline also, and you can follow all our esteemed speaker on their social handle as well, so that you can drop your question directly to them so that they can answer it well. And if you want to take it on the email perspective, you can drop the question at education@digitallearning.in. So we can directly forward that question to the esteemed panelists, so they can revert. We can forward you directly. So by this session, we were closing our last session, and it was a wonderful interaction, well moderated, Professor P.K. Naik sir.
Thank you, sir.
Maximum topic covered, well elaborated by Supriya ma'am, Mansi ma'am, and Gaurav Shukla sir, well perspective from the higher education domain. So by this, we are closing this School Leadership Summit Chhattisgarh version. Thank you, participants, for attending the full day summit. Thank you, dignitaries. Thank you. Namaskar, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.